What's up everyone, Andrew Baena here. It's been a little while since I did one of these, so I thought I would do an FAQ video. So pretty much over on my Instagram page, I asked you guys to ask me questions and I would answer them in a video, and this is that video. Very novel concept, I know. So if you haven't already, be sure to go follow me over on Instagram. That's usually where I post these questions where you can submit yours so that I might see them. So for this video, I'm going to give you a couple little updates in the beginning, and then we're going to move on to some of your questions. Also going to throw some unboxings in there. This video is kind of everything all at once. So first and foremost, the big news that I have for this video is that my band Carcosa is finally going on tour. I am very excited and very nervous about this, but we are pretty much doing a cross North America tour, primarily in the United States, and we are also hitting Vancouver because it's our hometown, as well as Ontario and Quebec, and a bunch of other states in the United States, obviously. So yeah, we're doing this big tour. It's our first ever one, and it's pretty intense for our first one, but we are all very excited. It's been a long time coming. A lot of hard work behind the scenes to make this happen. As you know, I've probably complained about it before, but going to the States as a Canadian band or any international band is a little bit difficult. Big shout out to Johnny for handling all of that for us, because it was a lot of work. But with all that being said, I would love to see you guys at some of these shows. So if we are coming to your city, to your hometown, or near you, please come out to a show and say hi. We would really, really appreciate that, and I absolutely can't wait to go on this tour. So you can see the poster and the tour dates on the screen right now. We are touring with The Almighty Within Destruction as the headliners, and then we're also doing half the tour with a band called Distinguisher, the other half with Victims, and then Fox Lake is also on the entire tour with us. We are the baby band on the bill at the very beginning. We're going to be the openers for every single night, and we cannot wait to show you guys what we sound like live. Oh, my lights just flickered. Weird. But yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to get off my chest immediately, because I've been waiting to talk about this for literally months, and I'm so happy that we can finally let that secret out. With that being said, let's get on to some of the questions. The first question comes from Vigi_21, and they ask, what is the best way to learn metal screaming? In my opinion, the best way to learn is through YouTube tutorials, or if you can afford it, to get an actual vocal coach. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I actually relearned how to scream this year by doing not in person, but person-to-person lessons, direct lessons with someone named Mark, who has a channel called Cardavox Academy. He's an amazing vocalist, and I basically relearned my vocal style from scratch from him, because I noticed that the way that I was doing vocals was fairly harmful to my vocal cords, and it's the way that I just kind of figured out on my own how to do it when I was like 14 and didn't really know any better, so I just kept doing it forever. But you know, once Carcosa started picking up and I started doing a little bit more vocal videos, I kind of realized that the way that I was doing it wasn't really that efficient, and also I was honestly getting a lot of comments on my vocals saying that people didn't really like how they sounded. And you know, when you get overwhelmingly negative comments like that, it does affect you. I tried to ignore it for a while, but I, kind of put my head down. I was like, all right, well, if this many people are saying that there's something wrong with my style, maybe there is. Maybe I could go, maybe I should do something about that. So it really sucked, but I swallowed my pride and, hired Mark to basically reteach me from scratch. It was really hard to do because I kept wanting to default back to my old way. It's like riding a bicycle, or the best way I could describe it is like playing guitar and then learning how to play guitar lefty. It was like, it's so frustrating, because you're like, well, I know if I just hold the guitar like this, I can play this way instantly, which is how I felt about my vocals, but I knew it would be worth, relearning from scratch, and it was. This doesn't really answer your question. Well, it kind of does, but basically, there's a few channels on YouTube. The one that I would recommend is Cardavox Academy. I think Mark has a very interesting vocal style, and he explains things, to me at least, in a way that makes the most sense out of any vocal tutorial that I've ever seen, and it helped me a lot. So go check out his channel, and if you find that his instructions do not help you, then by all means check out a different one. I know David Benitez also has an awesome channel where he has a lot of tips and advice, and I know a lot of people have worked with him as well and got great results. So yeah, there are so many resources out there for learning metal vocals now. It's honestly crazy, and I wish that I had access to all of these when I was younger, just learning, instead of having to relearn when I'm 30 years old. I also want to mention, by the way, I apologize if I'm clearing my throat or my voice sounds a little bit weird. I am a little bit sick right now, so just saying. Anyways, speaking of, next up, we're going on to the next question from Morales Reed 21, and they ask, what are your favorite records and why? So I assume this means favorite records of all time, and for that, there's a few, but my top two, I will always say, are Protest the Hero, Kazaya, and Between the Buried and Me Colors. And the main reason for both of these is kind of the same, where when I listen to both of these albums, even though I've been listening to both of these for like well over a decade now, every single time I listen to them, I feel like I hear something new or different or something that I didn't notice before. And to me, that is the sign of a fantastic album that stands the test of time. If I expanded that list a little bit further, I would probably add Lowe's I Let It In, and it took everything to that list, even though it is a little bit more recent. I truly think that that's going to be in there for a long time. Same with Phil Jartz's new album. What else? Maybe After the Burial's... which After the Burial album? Rare Form would probably be in there. Maybe Architect's Hollow Crown. I don't know. I'm sure there's more, but those top two remain constant forever, and they've been there since I was like 13 or 14, so I don't think those are going anywhere anytime soon. Before we move on to the next question, I'm going to flip over to Andrew from the past, and we're going to do an unboxing video. Well, we got something new in the mail today. This is something from Blackstar. This is their St. James 50-watt amp head. I had the privilege of meeting up with Ollie Club from Blackstar when I was over in Germany for 42 Gear Street, and we got talking over there, and I somehow managed to convince them to send some gear my way. And of course, the thing that I wanted was the 50-watt metal-oriented amp head from them. So this is something relatively new called the St. James amp. It's surprisingly only like 15 pounds, one of the lighter weight amps, especially compared to like my 5150, which seems to weigh an absolute ton compared to this thing. This is a very weird unboxing position to be in. I feel like I picked like the worst possible position to open this in, but oh well. Tasty. Okay, so here it is. This is the Blackstar St. James 50-watt 6L6 version of the amp. It's important to clarify which version of the St. James that I have, because the other one is not as suitable for metal, and this one is actually completely different with a whole different channel for high gain distortion, which is obviously what I wanted, because that's kind of what I do on this channel, so this one made more sense for me. But yeah, so like I was saying, this is a 50-watt amp from Blackstar, again called the St. James. It has 6L6 tubes. It's 50 watts, but you can also switch it down to 2 watts, and it also has a bunch of really cool technology built in. For example, it has a built-in reactive load box, so you don't need to plug it into a cab, and you can still use it just fine. It also has a built-in cab rig simulator, which of course is a cab sim, which I believe you can edit on your PC, and also it is actually a USB audio interface, so you don't even technically need to plug this into an interface. You can go USB direct out of this right into your computer with no need for additional hardware, which is really cool. Maybe if you're, on the road or you don't want a ton of gear, you could record this guitar directly to your computer really, really easily in theory. But yeah, if we take a look at the back there, you can see the USB output, XLR output for the cab rig, of course the different options for a actual cab if you want to still use one of those old things. And then on the front, we of course have all the controls, as well as a channel switch and a voice switch, and that sag option to switch between 50 watts, 2 watts, or sag. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the features. There's a lot more to talk about, so I will be doing a full demo of this amp, of course using it with like, a 7-string or maybe even an 8-string, see how it does for those modern high gain metal tones. Next question comes from Mike the Average Guitarist, and they ask, what would your signature guitar look like? Well, if I was to make a signature guitar, it would honestly probably look pretty much like my custom Aristides, which I will grab right now. But yeah, you guys have all seen this guitar before. This is probably pretty much what I would do for a signature guitar, I guess you could say. The only difference is I would probably make it green instead of yellow, and I also would not have the big Carcosa inlay on the fretboard. But yeah, it would just be kind of like a super strat shape, single bridge pickup, Evertune, kill switch only, no volume, no tone. Probably do an 8-string because that's probably what I play the most. And yeah, probably just keep it pretty simple. Single pickup, kill switch only, Evertune, super strat style thing with a dark fretboard and a neon green body. So kind of like this, but a different color and not with the giant inlay. Next question comes from Dat Yoinky Sploinky, love the name. Have you ever broken a string while performing live? If so, how did you deal with it? Yes, I've broken strings live quite a few times. Not at any time recently. It was mostly in the early days of my previous band when I didn't have extra strings on hand. There was one time where I actually even broke my 8th string, like the low string, and that really sucked because obviously our music relies heavily on that string. But the show must go on, so pretty much what I do is I just continue playing as much as possible. And in that case, I think what I did is I just played everything an octave up. So on the spot, I was trying to like transpose all of our riffs to just be on like I guess it'd be the 7th fret of the 7th string instead. I think that would be the right octave. I don't remember. But yeah, pretty much just play it off as if nothing is wrong. At least finish the song or try to, and then just run off the stage and try to replace your string. Or if you do need to immediately replace the string, like for example for Carcosa, I literally could not do that. Like I would need to replace the string right then and there. What I would do is I would just stop playing and have the rest of the band just continue the song without me. In my opinion, the show must go on, and if something is wrong with my gear, I would fully expect the rest of the band to just take over, and the 3 of them just keep going as if nothing is wrong, play it off. Don't let the crowd know that something is wrong, because we want everyone to have a good time. Deal with it myself, come back to the stage as soon as possible, and continue. Next question comes from Ruin of Raven. If there was one last song you could play, what would it be? So I'm not sure if they mean like physically play or play as in listen to, but I'm just gonna go with an answer that covers both bases since I'm not sure. I don't know why necessarily, but the first song that came to mind was After the Burial, Aspiration. It's probably my favorite After the Burial song of all time, and to me it just sounds like a very kind of triumphant or beautiful song that I feel like if it was the last song I ever heard would kind of make me feel like, you know, I assume like if you're dying, like you would feel like, I don't know, like feel positive in a weird way, even though the song is still super heavy. It's kind of a weird question to answer because I don't know how to put into words what I'm feeling. But anytime I listen to that song, I just feel very, like, I don't know, just powerful, I guess you could say. Next question comes from Unfunny Little Boy, and they say, is there any new Carcosa material planned to be released? Yes. I obviously can't give away too much information, but recently I had the boys over here to write new music, and we wrote, I think, 7 new songs. Don't know if all 7 of those are going to be released or not, but we've been working. And there is new stuff coming, is all I can say for now. Before the next question, we are going to go to another unboxing video. Okay, different day, another new box. Voice is still a little weird, but let's open it up. So this box is obviously a lot smaller than the last one. Definitely not an amp again this time. And they really taped the fuck out of this. It's from Sweetwater, of course. You know we got the candy. Oh, that way. Thank you, Sweetwater. Always with the goods. And they've sent over a few cool things. Number 1 is the Fishman modern pickups, but these are the 9-string size ones, which look almost comically big. And they also sent over 2 pairs of the Graphtec ratio locking tuners. Now the reason why it's kind of these odd proportions of a 9-string and 2 sets of a 6-string is because what I'm going to be doing is upgrading my Harley Benton 8-string, and for some reason Fanfret 8-strings use 9-string pickups. That's why I got the 9 strings. There's very few options to pick from for 9-string pickups that will fit this routing, but thankfully Sweetwater had the Fishman Moderns in stock, so we're going to go with those. And then likewise for locking tuners, most locking tuners come in a set of 6, so I had to get 2 sets of those. And I've used the Graphtec ratio stuff before, and it's awesome, so I'm happy to use these again. So look for a video coming soon on an upgrade project with the Harley Benton 8-string, because it's going to sound and feel even better. Okay, and back to the questions. Next one comes from Fuse D'Accuse, and they say, do you think you'll be doing any more busking videos? Honestly, I don't think I will. I did 2 of them. The first one went really well. The second one did not go very well. And at this point, you know, there are other YouTube channels that are dedicated to literally only making busking videos. And I feel like there's just no point for me to do it at this point. Also, I thought that doing them was super embarrassing. I didn't really enjoy doing them necessarily. I just did them because I thought they would be funny, but I pretty much hated every second of actually doing them, so I probably will not be doing one again. Next question comes from Pirate Chimp. How much theory do you apply in your music when writing with Carcosa? So if you're asking me personally, it's 0 because I do not know any music theory. Fun fact, one of the only, well, not, I failed a few courses, but the, let me start again. In what was supposed to be my final semester of university, I took a course called the Introduction to Music Theory, thinking like, hey, this will be an easy, secondary course. Like, it didn't apply to my degree, but I had to do it anyways for some reason. So I was like, oh, this one sounds easy, and I've been playing guitar for like 10 years at this point. It'll probably be no problem. It was a problem. I failed the course, and I had to do a whole extra semester at university just to take one different secondary course because I needed that to graduate. So I was not happy. So yeah, 0 theory when it comes to me. As for the other guys in the band, Johnny is the theory guy in our band, which is kind of useful to have because sometimes me or Cooper will have ideas where we think it sounds really good and Johnny would be like, no, you can't do that because it's not a fifth in this harmony that the song apparently uses in the key and says a bunch of words that I don't understand. And then I'm like, okay, so what fret is that? And he'll be like, you can use the 5th fret. And I'm like, sounds good. And that's the extent of how Carcosa uses theory, or at least when it comes to me. Next question comes from Jerry Stive TC, and they ask, bare knuckle pickup, polymath, or juggernaut for gent, what do you prefer? So I've actually never tried either of these pickups, but I picked this question because I do have an upcoming custom build from Valiant Guitars. They're a custom shop from Ukraine, and I met them over at 42 Gear Street in Germany, and they have said that they are working on a custom guitar for me, which apparently has bare knuckle polymath pickups in it. So I will be trying them for the first time whenever that is done, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I think it's going to sound really cool. But as for your actual question, I'm not really sure because I have no comparison between the two, but I'll know when I get that one. Next question, E.L. Leviton says, what's the next hot trend? 2020 was headless, 2021 roasted maple, 2022, 2023. So in my opinion, I think that baritone guitars are probably going to be the next most popular thing. I think that we're already kind of seeing that with companies like Harley Benton making the affordable baritone guitars, and they're selling out pretty much instantly. I think that other companies hopefully are paying attention to that and realizing that there's seemingly a big demand for baritone guitars, or baritone 6 strings in particular. So I have a feeling in 2023 we're going to see even more baritone guitars than ever before. Next question comes from the Nick O'Kane. Do you have a top 5 albums of the year yet? So this year has been kind of weird for me. I'm not saying this to throw any shade at any band, but usually I have like a very, very clear number 1 album of the year where without a question I'm like, yes, this was my favorite album of the year. And this year so far, I honestly don't feel that way. With the last 2 years, it was Viljartas Mastodon under Vatten. I probably pronounced that terribly, and I'm very sorry. And the year before was obviously Lowe's I Let It In and It Took Everything. And to me, like, the first time I heard those albums, I was instantly like, this is the best album of the year. And for the rest of the year, that was, like, still the case. Whereas this year, I honestly haven't heard any album that has given me that feeling just yet. So I'm still kind of waiting till the end of the year to see what else comes out. I am really excited to hear Chelsea Grin's new album, for example. But with that being said, there are a bunch of other good albums that have come out this year. As for a top 5, I haven't given it too much thought yet. But lately what I've been listening to a lot is The Devil Wears Prada's new album, Boundaries' new album, Within Destruction's new album. Obviously, my friends over in Angel Maker released a new album this year that was awesome. Darko's album was pretty good. So there's been lots of albums that are pretty good, but I don't know what my number 1 would be yet, and I'm not sure where my top 5 lies at this moment, but we'll see what happens. Next question comes from George Low 24. I hope that's how I pronounce your name. Favorite anime, and have you watched Code Geass? I've never seen Code Geass. I don't actually know what that is, but my favorite anime is definitely Full Metal Alchemist. I feel like I've probably shown off this tattoo before, but this is actually fully based on Full Metal Alchemist. And then same on the wrist here, I have good old Truth. If you can see him there. Yeah. Nope. There you go. There. In focus. Good. But yeah, so I have kind of like a bunch of my arm tattoo is dedicated to Full Metal Alchemist. That is definitely my favorite anime. I'm actually almost done rewatching it again right now. I think I have like 3 episodes left. So yeah, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in particular is definitely my favorite anime of all time. and it has remained my favorite anime since the first time I saw it. Nothing has topped it. I have a very weird relationship with anime where I like it, but I'm extremely picky on what I do and don't like. I have a very, very low attention span and a low tolerance for filler episodes, and I have a tendency to find that a lot of anime does have a lot of filler, and to me, that really bothers me to the point where I don't enjoy it anymore or I lose interest. There's tons of, really popular animes that I find like that. Like, I like My Hero Academia, for example, but oh my god, man, there's like 10 episodes in a row that are about them doing like a high school talent show, and I'm just like, what does this have to do with the story? So anytime an anime has stuff like that, it really throws me off, and I don't know. I'm very picky, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Next question comes from Philosophic Philosophem. Oh man, that's hard to say. You're from Canada, so do you smoke that dank? A little bit. I don't smoke weed that much. It's like a pretty occasional thing for me. If anything, I feel like I do edibles a little bit more frequently, but again, it's like not very often at all. It's maybe like once every couple of weeks, once a month kind of situation. Sometimes if I'm having like a really hard time sleeping, I have specific ones that help with that. But again, not very often. But yeah, I don't really care if you do or don't smoke. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. I enjoy it, but in moderation. So yeah. Can you please do a video where you teach your wife guitar? Straight up! Straight up! So let's see what she says. What are you doing? Somebody asked me to make a video teaching you how to play guitar. What do you say?
I don't wanna.
Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for sticking with me and watching. I know that for some of you, this probably isn't the type of content you want to see on this channel, but I always have fun doing it. I like talking to people on Instagram and all that. So again, thank you for asking questions over on Instagram. Again, please go follow me over there. And again, I really hope to meet some of you on the road with my band Carcosa. One more time, that tour poster is right here. We are coming to a bunch of different states and cities in Canada, and I really hope to see some of you there. Absolutely cannot wait to do this. And again, please be sure to check out the links in the description and the pinned comment below. And of course, a big thank you to all my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.